Hey guys, it's Bieber. So this Epstein stuff is trying to heat back up a little bit, seems like. So I have a couple little updates to go over with you today. This one is pretty juicy. It actually was released from Alan Dershowitz, which is was part of Epstein's legal team. And he is also one of the main attorneys that secured this sweetheart deal for Epstein when these victims had their day in court the first time around. So let's just take a little look-see at this. Former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak has been accused of being involved in deceased pedophile Jeffrey Epstein's systematic sexual abuse. A sealed deposition by Epstein's best-known accuser, Virginia Roberts Giuffre, lists Barak among high-profile men she says she was forced to have sex with when she was underage. The deposition was released by attorney Alan Dershowitz, a member of Epstein's legal team. In an effort to clear his name, the deposition, he claims, discredits Giuffre because of the denials and the disclaimers issued by these men, who include the UK's Prince Andrew. So to me, what this says is, no, don't look at me. Look at these other high-profile people. Anyways, rather than to discredit Giuffre, all Dershowitz seemed to have achieved is to throw more names into this sordid plot, the biggest of which is Barak's. Barak received millions of dollars in investments and donations from the Wexner Foundation, of which Epstein was asset manager, from Epstein directly as recent as 2015. Epstein suicided, allegedly, in August 2019. The official verdict was suicide by hanging, although his lawyers have challenged this ruling. So, in my opinion, as another YouTube calls him, douchey Dershowitz, he's scum. And to me, him doing this, he just looks super guilty as far as I'm concerned now. And please let this victim rest. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, I guess I do understand there's a lot of high, powerful people, which brings me to my next update. My previous video, it was, my little thumbnail says, "Where's Ghislaine?" Well, we have found Ghislaine. I have not found her, but she has been found. Ghislaine Maxwell is currently wanted for questioning about her relationship with the late American financier and convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. Maxwell all but disappeared from public life in 2016 when prosecutors began re-examining criminal complaints against her and her boyfriend. Speculation has since abounded as to where the British socialite might be hiding, with new reports suggesting she is likely based in Paris. 58-year-old Maxwell is being sought by FBI following allegations that she supplied underage girls to Epstein and his associates. The daughter of the disgraced Britain media mogul Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine was born in France to a French mother, and that is thought to possess French and British citizenship. So what that means is, in the way I understand it, is that if she is born there, she can't be extradited back. I believe that's how law reads, but I could be wrong about that. As France, now that I'm reading it, that's exactly what it says. As France does not extradite its citizens, it would be logical choice for Maxine to locate herself while wishing to avoid being sent to the United States. The Sun has alleged that this is the case, claiming that Maxwell is living in flat on Avenue Matignon, an expensive part of Paris near the Champs-Élysées. The newspaper reports that the secret bolt hole is linked to a millionaire business contact based in Normandy, who reportedly offered to let Maxwell use it as a hideout while she is being sought by FBI. The property is located just a short drive from Epstein's former apartment on Avenue Foch, which was raided by French police in September 2019. The newspaper alleges that Maxwell was sighted on Avenue Matignon in the days before French went into lockdown in March, and that is where she has remained in Paris during the virus crisis. She reportedly hopes that her status as a French citizen will enable her to avoid extradition if she faces any criminal charges in the U.S. An unknown source told The Sun, which this is not a Sun report. I will link in the description box this article. Ghislaine is moving locations every month to keep private investigators off her tail and is staying at the residence of trusted colleagues and contacts. She wants to remain in France for as long as she can and take advantage of the extradition laws, and has a huge network of contacts willing to keep her hidden. I bet she does, because she knows an awful lot. Under French law, anyone born in French soil is safe from extradition to another country, regardless of the alleged crime. It doesn't mean she will not be prosecuted for her links to Epstein, but if she does end up facing charges, it will be in France, not the United States. Maxwell is said to have been out in public on a number of occasions, wearing a scarf around her face and remain undetected. She reportedly walked the streets of the upmarket part of Paris, near the glamorous market restaurants and Le Barclay and Le Bristol hotels. Other sources claim that she was spotted walking away from the Israeli embassy. There have been conspiracy theories alleging that Maxwell was a foreign intelligence asset working for Israel, where Robert Maxwell is buried, which is her father. This speculation has fueled theories as to who might be seeking to protect the late fraudulent publishing tycoon's daughter. Maxwell reportedly spent time on a kibbutz in Israel after leaving school, with The Sun adding that she has numerous contacts in the country and is rumored to have been offered a hideout there. News outlets add, however, that she is determined that she's going to stay in Paris. And then if you go on, it says, indeed, Maxwell's own lawyers, with whom she reportedly communicates only by email, are said to not even know where her precise location is. Lawyers for Epstein's victims who have hired private investigators to find her and have issued writs at various addresses to no avail. So the article, it just names, tells a little backstory about her and her family members, and they just, run down the gamut of little theories that have fizzled out. And the other thing I wanted to talk about, I seen a couple days ago that something was filed within our Attorney General's office about Prince Andrew coughing up evidence, or at best, just speaking to U.S. authorities. And I went to report about that, but now it says that U.S. says no extradition for Prince Andrew over Epstein case. It's just from Reuters. I will put it in the description box. U.S. Attorney William Barr said on Monday there were no plans to extradite Britain's Prince Andrew to the United States for questioning in the sex crimes involving late financier Jeffrey Epstein. Asked during a Fox News interview whether the United States has officially asked Britain to hand over Prince Andrew, and Barr said, I don't think it's a question of handing him over. I think it's a question of having him provide some evidence. Asked if Prince Andrew would be extradited, Barr replied no, flatly. But even with that, there's some discrepancies because Jeffrey Berman, was a U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York. From my understanding, he was the one that was not pushing it along. I know the Trump administration was not thrilled with him. They had asked him to resign, and he said he will, but he'll do it at a later date when they find a successor. Barr says, no, you need to go now. He took it to Trump, and from my understanding, he's out. But he was a big deal in this Epstein. And I believe he was probably halting everything. You know, we get news in pieces, and there's always an article to counter react for this, nugget of information. So we just have to see on the grand stage, what is going to play out with this case. I'm praying for the victims that they get peace. And I'm sorry, Epstein is, he's out of the public eye. He's dead. He's, whatever he's got going on. But there are other predators out here. There was some very, very high echelon people involved. They need to be brought to justice. Truth dies if you don't expose it. All right, guys, let me know what you think. Comment down below. As I was recording this, I did find another article, and it says, clash over U.S. attorney who investigated Trump. Associates sets off a crisis. So let's just read this before I wrap this up. A top federal prosecutor in Manhattan who has investigated President Trump's closest associates was refusing to leave his position on Saturday after Attorney General William P. Barr tried to fire him, setting off an extraordinary standoff over the independence of law enforcement and the president's purge of officials he views as disloyal, which I don't. Got to consider the source of what I'm reading, the way it's politically phrased. Anyways, Mr. Barr abruptly announced the resignation late Friday of the prosecutor Jeffrey Berman, United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York, whose office has been at the forefront of corruption inquiries into Mr. Trump's inner circle. The office successfully prosecuted the president's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, who went to prison, and he has been investigating Mr. Trump's current. See, none of this is, they phrased the article wrong. This is, anyways, but Mr. Berman was quickly issued a statement denying that he was leaving. I have not resigned. I have no intention of resigning my position, Mr. Berman said, adding that he had learned he was stepping down, in quotes, from the Justice Department news release. It also raises complicated constitutional and legal questions because of the highly unusual way that Mr. Berman received his job. The President and Attorney General can typically dismiss United States attorneys, but Mr. Berman was not ultimately appointed by the Trump administration. He was named by a panel of federal judges. Mr. Barr's announcement that President Trump was seeking to replace Mr. Berman has made no notice to Mr. Barr, said the president intended to nominate Mr. Berman's successor, Jay Clayton, the chairman of Securities and Exchange Commission, who has never served as a prosecutor. Mr. Barr asked Mr. Berman to resign, and he refused, so Mr. Barr moved to fire him, according to a person familiar with the matter. Mr. Trump had discussed removing Mr. Berman for some time with a small group of advisors. Mr. Trump has been upset with Mr. Berman ever since Manhattan's prosecutor pursued a case against Mr. Cohen. All right, I scrolled down because I'm not getting into all that political crap. So here's where it gets to Epstein. It says, at the time, Mr. Berman was the U.S. attorney overseeing the case. The company Hawk Bank, a statewide owned bank in Turkey, was indicted in the Southern District last year. Mr. Berman was also known for his office's decisions last year to bring sex trafficking charges against Jeffrey Epstein, who had avoided similar prosecution in Florida in 2008. After Mr. Epstein committed suicide, allegedly. Last August, Mr. Berman announced that the inquiry to Mr. Epstein's sex trafficking conspiracy would continue and that his office was committed to standing up for the brave young women Epstein had abused. The office has been investigating several of Mr. Epstein's alleged co-conspirators and has been locked in a public dispute with Prince Andrew of Britain about what Mr. Berman has depicted as Prince's refusal to assist in the investigation. So, guys, you know what? I don't know what the hell's going on. I guess we will have to see. And this is just on a huge scale. I am very grateful. Yeah, I don't I can't make heads or tails of what's actually going on, but at least it is out in the public eye. These people are going to be less likely to, hopefully all this that comes about, it will make these predators think twice. If you're faced with losing every single thing you have and spending the rest of your life in a prison sentence, maybe, just maybe, these girls will be protected because you care more about your livelihood than you do about actually doing the right thing. Whatever, end result's the same. We have to do more to protect our children in this country. Just my opinion. Anyways, guys, hope y'all have a good one. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts. What do you feel like is going on? Like I said, it's a lot of moving parts. Hopefully, they're moving in a good direction. Y'all have a good one.